How often we hear in the Gospels of Jesus setting time aside for quiet and prayer. And Jesus has told his disciples of what will become of him. So now Jesus takes Peter, James, and John with him to the top of the mountain to pray. For generations before Jesus, holy women and men were doing the same. Moses, for example, came down from Mount Sinai from a similar period of quiet and prayer with God. We hear read in Exodus today. The higher reaches of Mount Sinai is jagged rock, lots of rock ledges, and the higher you get, the fewer trees there are. It's a tough place. It's a tough place to hike, and it's a tough place to go to meet God. And we might wonder how Moses' meeting with God was made all the more because of the difficulty it took for him to get there. All of that leads to this transforming moment for Moses. And when he descends, the people notice the change. Returning to the people from the top of Mount Sinai, where he went to be alone with God, Moses' face appears changed. It is transfigured. Moses is so full of the Spirit of God that he has to cover his face with a veil when meeting with the people. But when he is with God, facing God in the tabernacle, he removes the veil, fully exposed, fully vulnerable, free before God. And we hear from Paul, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. All of us with unveiled faces, seeing the glory of the Lord as though reflected in a mirror, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. For this comes from the Lord. It comes from the Spirit. This is mercy. Because of this mercy that comes from God, we do not lose heart. And as for this moment with Jesus on top of the mountain, with Peter, James, and John, they enter into the cloud and are given a vision that allows them to see beyond the dimness, beyond the fog, beyond their life's confusion, beyond the suffering of today. They see from one degree of glory to another. Jesus is transfigured. His clothes are dazzling white. And there Jesus, Elijah, and Moses appear in glory. They're talking among themselves about what is to happen to Jesus, what will occur in Jerusalem. Peter, James, and John are given the gift of an image already of the risen Christ that foreshadows his suffering, death, and after 3 days, his resurrection from the dead. And in this moment, all of those with Jesus on the mountaintop experience the lifting of the cloudiness of this life. And from this moment on, life will no longer be ordinary for them. There are no ordinary days in our life with God. Every day is an extraordinary event that God uses to transform us if we allow God to transform, if we allow God to change us, no matter how cloudy the day or how treacherous the pathway. And what is revealed is the presence of glory that is everlasting, even now. Good will always be more present than evil. When the clouds lift, like for Peter, James, and John when they enter into the cloud, we will also see for ourselves how good overcomes evil. Good outlasts evil. Because every moment is a fleeting moment, good will last even beyond those moments that are so fleeting in our lives. God's transformation doesn't remain only on mountaintops or on certain days at particular times when the weather is good, when there are no problems to be seen on the horizon. And it isn't just God's presence that frames the season after the Epiphany. No, notice how God's presence upholds our lives from their beginning to after these bodies are done living. This life may be fleeting, but God is not. There was once a little boy who packed his backpack, and as he was out leaving the house, he, with excitement, said to his parents behind him, "I'm off to see God." The little boy ends up on a park bench seated beside an elderly black woman. He opens up his backpack and he takes out his box of Twinkies, his snack, and he shares those with the woman that he's chatting with. The two chat and they laugh and they nibble and they chat and they laugh some more. When each one goes home that night, they happily report, "I have seen God." "I have seen God," the elderly woman adds. "God was much younger, though, than I was expecting." How often do we miss seeing God because what we see isn't what we expect? "You are my child, the beloved, with you I am well pleased. This is my child, my chosen. Listen." Listen, because the mercy that comes from God causes us to not lose heart. The very best that we can do is to project the rays of light that God shines through us from the mountaintops to the wilderness and every place in between. I say this to you in the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.